What was the most shocking thing the quiet kid in class said? The teacher said we were doing an experiment and asked each of us to bring something. When she said, "I need a 25-centimeter hose," the quiet kid said, "I've got it right here," pointing to his crotch. Story 1. He never spoke again. Stop pretending everyone likes you, idiot. The quiet girl said this to the most popular guy in my high school class. Story 2. During class he walked out of the classroom, and just as he was leaving he said, "Goodbye, prisoners," and since that day every time we leave a place we say that. I was the quiet kid in elementary and middle school, but in the last few grades, I spent my time scaring people who entered the classroom by hiding behind the door. Once we were in a group of 3 on the school court, and the quiet kid I saw my cousin. Story 3. When the typical rich, arrogant girl arrived, she immediately started teasing my cousin, saying he was short and that it didn't make him attractive as a man, etc. The quiet kid spoke up, saying she was flatter than an encyclopedia page and that it didn't make her very attractive as a woman. Her friends who were with her couldn't hold back their laughter. Story 4. She got upset and went to get a teacher to tell on him. The teacher asked my friend what happened, but he didn't respond. In the end, I explained what happened. The teacher scolded the girl because she had claimed he had harassed her, saying that if she was going to tease others, she should be able to take a joke. Then the quiet kid interrupted and said, "Don't be so sensitive, it's just a joke, don't take it so personally." I'd pay to see the girl's face again and hear the teacher's laughter. In the end, the quiet kid ended up dating the girl. Story 5. What a legend. It was the end of the school year, and we were making hot dogs as a farewell. A classmate burned his ear trying to reach the cheese over the fire. The burn was bad, and the quiet kid from the class came back from the bathroom, walked into the room and said, "It smells like human flesh." Story 6. In elementary school, there was a quiet girl who no one ever heard speak from 4th grade until we graduated. The day before the graduation dance, she said, "I enjoyed studying with you all," and everyone, including the teacher, was shocked. No one has heard from her since that day. Story 7. One day at a talent show, he went on stage and gave a speech about how our school's education system was messed up. The only response from his parents was that their son was right. Story 8. We were in high school and there was a guy who didn't talk. We had an important exam coming up, and only he had the notes, but no one wanted to talk to him. I gathered the courage, approached him, and spoke. He ignored me and started playing with his pencils, pretending they were people who were dying or something. As I was about to leave, he said, "You'd look better without a head," and continued his game. I never spoke to him again and failed the exam. Story 9. Then this kid who almost never spoke asked the teacher for the time one day. It was after school and there was no clock. The teacher gave the classic, "It's time for you to get a watch," which for some reason was funny to everyone else. The quiet kid didn't laugh, looked the teacher straight in the eyes, and once everyone calmed down, said, "So, are you going to tell me the damn time or what?" We were in 7th grade. Story 10. In class we were studying genetics and one kid was being a real jerk and the teacher couldn't get him to shut up. After talking about inbreeding in dogs, a quiet kid raised his hand and said, "That's probably how Peter, the idiot, ended up so retarded." Story 11. My friend, who was a quiet kid back then, was always bullied. One day they pushed him too far and pulled his pants down in front of everyone. He was furious but didn't say anything. After that rough moment, I saw him go to a ravine near the school during recess. Later, I found out he went to get an iron rod, and half an hour before recess ended, he found the kids who bullied him in a classroom. He locked them in without them noticing and beat them up badly. He almost got expelled, but the school counselor defended him. Story 12. A year ago, the quiet kid was watching 4 girls start yelling and insulting each other. Then he said, "When the insults start, their arguments end," and that stopped the argument with everyone laughing at them. Story 13. The quiet kid, who was often picked on, stood up one day, grabbed a broom, climbed onto a chair, and started trying to swat bees that had gotten in. A bee landed on the window and a quiet kid yelled, "Die, bee, die," then hit and shattered the window. He screamed when it happened and then sat back down. I never heard him speak again. Story 14. In high school, my group of friends were kind of the quiet ones in class, but if there was one thing for sure, it was that whenever someone heard us talk, it was about stupid stuff like power levels in My Little Pony, weird anecdotes like trying to hatch an egg in a microwave, or how a friend got stopped at customs because a dog sniffed a Cheeto in his pocket. Story 15. I'm the quiet girl in my class. One day we had a bonding circle and the most popular girls asked me, "What do you think of us?" I replied, "You think you're pretty, but you're only popular because you've slept with half the school." They shut up and we continued with the bonding circle. Story 16. In middle school they relentlessly bullied a girl, making fun of her to her face, until they made a joke that she could cause a school shooting like in the US. Then the girl stopped what she was doing, looked at the group and said, "Why would anyone waste a bullet on you? Who told you you're that important?" Then she smiled calmly and went back to what she was doing. For about 5 minutes no one knew what to say. She had told the popular kids they were worthless and unimportant outside of school. They kept bullying her afterward, but less often. Story 17. I'll share an anecdote about my friend who was basically the quiet kid. Since he never contributed in class, the class bully decided to pick on him. One day he approached him and said, "Yo, are you gay?" No one laughed. My friend replied, "Why? Are you looking for a boyfriend?" Story 18. A girl and a guy were fighting in class, yelling at each other, and when the teacher walked in he said, "What are you doing?" The quiet girl said, "Mating ritual," and the worst part is that the two ended up together afterward. Story 19. I remember one time in middle school the class troublemaker was being more unbearable than usual, and I stabbed a pen into his leg. Story 20. I was the best friend of the quiet kid in middle school. It wasn't that shocking, but it was the dumbest thing I ever heard him say. He got this confused look and just said, "I can't remember what color my dog is." Story 21. Once I was sitting in class and to put it simply, I was the quiet kid. A new girl said hi to me, I said hi back, and everyone there was shocked like never before. I just said, someone had to say hi to me sometime, right? Story 22. This kid was so weird that, honestly, no one noticed him. But one day he's sitting across from me at a table and sees this girl in super tight shorts and says, "Damn, I could have my head in her butt for months." It was pretty shocking. Story 23. There was a kid in class who kept bothering the quiet kid, and when the quiet kid had enough he said, "You have 3 seconds to leave," and the guy replied, "What are you going to do if I don't?" The quiet kid threw his backpack aside, grabbed a chair and smashed it over his head. After that, no one messed with the quiet kid again. Story 24. The quiet kid in class was the smartest and got the best grades in the whole school. Still, no one noticed he was also the strongest and biggest kid in class. When a new kid showed up, the first thing he did was pick on him. What he didn't know was that the quiet kid was the best at everything, and as soon as he started bothering him, the quiet kid hit him so hard he broke his nose and nearly broke his arm. After that day, no one messed with the quiet kid. Story 25. The quiet kid in my class was and is my best friend, and one day, out of nowhere, he started acting violent. In a single day, he stabbed me with a pen, and when I wasn't looking during recess, he beat up a kid who was bothering him.